Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our second edition of DirtFish Debates. What an opening episode we had with the three team bosses from the WRC service park, and how could we possibly follow that? Well, do you know what? I think we might have something in store for you that's even more exciting than the team bosses. It's our three number one drivers. And we have with us for you this evening, we have from the M-Sport Ford team, Esapekka Lappi. A very good day to you, Esapekka.
Hello. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you very much. It's absolutely fantastic to have you with us this evening. It's lovely of you to invite us into your home this evening. Esapekka will catch up with you in a minute. And, and I know that maybe you've got important things to do for the next minute or two. There's a little one running around in the background. You go away and deal with that. That's not a problem. But joining us from Switzerland, from his home in Switzerland, it is our number one driver in the Toyota team and 6 times World Rally Champion. It is Sébastien Ogier. Seb, really good to see you this evening. Good to see you looking very relaxed at home there.
Yeah, nice to hear from you. I think it's nice. It gives us a bit the feeling to be back into rally world, and I think we are all starting to missing a bit at the moment. So nice to hear from you again.
Yeah, lovely to hear your voice too. And you're quite right. We're all missing rallying very, very badly. But doing our best here at DirtFish to try and keep the rally content going during these very difficult times for everyone. And also joining us this evening, all the way from Estonia, it is now, am I going to get into trouble, Ott, if I say you're the number one driver in the Hyundai team? I think you're number one to most of us anyway.
That's how it needs to be, so it's all correct.
Fantastic. Well, it's good to have you with us out this evening. So, folks, as you know, what we do here at DirtFish Debates is we ask you, the fans, the rally fans, for the questions for our guests. And we've got a whole load of really good questions that apply to all of our drivers, or all of our drivers can certainly have a go at answering this evening. But we thought we'd start off, gentlemen, with something just a little more, well, if you like, gentle for you. You know, we're just off air there where we're talking about doing things for the first time. I'd have to say that, you know, I'm learning some new skills during lockdown. I've done a lot of cooking. But the thing I'm doing for the first time during this lockdown, I'm actually doing this interview in my slippers. Yeah, got my slippers on. It's really comfortable. It really is. So we'll start with you, EP. Things that you are learning during lockdown, and maybe something that you have done for the first time during lockdown.
Well, a lot of things actually I've learned together with the kids, and from, well, as we are much more home at the moment than I've actually been in the last 8 years. I believe it's the same for Seb and Ott as well. But maybe the let's say something other than that is I know how to build a basement for the house.
Right. Oh dear. Well, tell me a little bit more about that. You can't leave it at that. How are you building a basement?
Well, it's just, you know, adding bricks on top of each other and next to each other, and adding some concrete between them. So it's quite simple actually.
Well, yeah, it's simple if you're that way inclined. I'd have to say I would probably be building something other than a basement, but I'm sure it's coming on nicely. We want to see pictures of that basement at some time, EP. Seb, what about yourself? As I say, you're back in Switzerland. Anything you've done for the first time? Anything you're learning during this period of lockdown?
Well, there's a couple of things I think we've done for the first time, but maybe one of them for me was to actually eat a cake that my wife has baked herself. You know, my wife has definitely not the skills to be in the kitchen usually, but by being like such a long time, she decided that she might give it a try. And well, I have to say at the end, the lockdown was very long now, but not long enough to make my wife a good chef.
Oh, Seb. I mean, did you eat the cake because it was nice, or did you eat the cake just because you had to?
No, it was eatable. I'm a little bit hard on her now.
Right. No desire yourself to get into the kitchen and maybe to try a bit of bread baking or something like that.
No, I think I have to if I want to survive. I spend a bit more time than there in the kitchen, and like Epi say, I think we use this time to rebuild a little bit everything around, and try to entertain the little one. And there was also some positive being at home for such a long time.
Yeah, there are positives, and it is great to see. And obviously, it must be the same for you. You're there at home with the kids. What about you? Have the kids made you do anything, perhaps, that you thought, oh, goodness me, I've never done this before? What have you learned during these last couple of months?
I guess I've never been home with them more than 2 weeks in one go, so it's something very new for all of us. Definitely, in one way, it's been quite good to spend some more time also to focus actually what is happening in our private life every day more than a few weeks. So normally you compete every day. You are still thinking about the competition, about rallying. You try to focus many things in the same time. But now, let's say the rallying side is quite quiet, and we've had a lot more time to focus on our private life. So no, it's been in one way actually quite good time.
And I'm slightly deviating from our scripts now. Apologies to our director for this. But it's a question that came in. It was specifically for you, Seb, but it applies to all three of you. Having spent so much time at home and having had that wonderful time with the family, with the wife and the children, how difficult do you think it's going to be, Ott, to actually get rallying again when you've got to go away again for a week, 2, 3 weeks at a time? Do you think that's going to be a bit of a challenge when you're back at it?
For sure, it will be a bit of a challenge in the beginning, but I mean, I guess also kids are missing a bit more their friends and they want to go back to kindergarten and again back to normal life. So I guess after some time they start to miss again this time we had before. But in the first go, everything hopefully goes back to normal. Then I believe everybody missed their life or the life we used to have before.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And Seb, we know how much of a family man you are, and we know how important to you, your wife and child are. The same question to you, really. We've all got into this routine where we are enjoying spending more time at home, spending time with the children. It is going to be quite a wrench, isn't it, to actually have to go back to traveling again?
Yeah, but I think we will at first enjoy it. I mean, I think we will be all very happy to go back to work, to go back to do what we love, to go back racing. So yeah, I think in one way we are lucky. I mean, we are not happy to be in this situation. Obviously, it's really bad for the whole world economy. A lot of aspects, a lot of people are suffering at the moment. But in the end, we are lucky to enjoy this time at home, this long time. And I think my point of view is that I'm going to be happy to go back racing and to go back doing what I love to do.
So what we're going to do now, gentlemen, is get into the more serious questions from our listeners. So it is serious hats on now. And the first one comes in from Lars Johansson. And, I think this is a question that a lot of us have been thinking about and pondering over the past few weeks at least. He says, we can see some serious times coming for motorsport, not just for WRC, for all forms of motorsport. How worried are we about the future of the WRC after this crisis? Seb, you're the most experienced of our three drivers. You've been around longer. What's your thought on that? Should we be worried about the future of the WRC post this crisis?
Well, I think at the moment a lot of sectors are suffering, and economically it's going to be hard for a lot of companies, and obviously the cars industry is going to suffer from it. So we've seen already recently the first numbers, and you see that the sales numbers are going very low, and definitely I think there will be consequences. I really hope that for us it won't be too dramatic and that we will be able to continue, but I think it's still a bit too early to really know. Probably, thinking about the future, there will be some adjustment need to be made to still try to reduce the cost and to make it even more efficient for the manufacturers, and there might be some consequences. I'm quite convinced about it.
Yeah, and we're already seeing some consequences in terms of the manufacturers and what they're telling us. I read a report today from Toyota, from your former employer, forecasting that their profits for this year will be down 80%, 17 billion euros less they're forecasting this year. We're all going to have to look at ways going forward of offering better value for money in terms of the sport, I suppose.
It's a kind of situation we've never been before. It's very extreme for everyone, and it's really, let's say, hard to know where are we coming from, where are we going to. Let's say the situation is still ongoing, so really no idea how it's actually kickstarting again. But like Seb said, there needs to be some idea how to continue. It's a very new situation, so I guess if we know when we can start and how we can start, and then we just have to see what is the situation on that moment when we are going to start. But I guess everything else goes after, when we have done already some steps.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. There's so much uncertainty just now, and you were trying to think, I suppose, Esapekka, about what the future is, but there's also uncertainty about clearly the rest of this season. How do you see the situation in terms of the health of the sport going forward, Esapekka? What do you think we have to do to ensure a healthy WRC going forward?
Well, that's a quite big question, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure that life doesn't really come back to normal, or how it was before this. I mean, everything will change somehow, and I think also WRC needs to do some adjustments for the future. I don't know what and how, but something will change. I'm sure. As you said or mentioned about the Toyota, that profits will drop so dramatically. I believe it will be similar in every manufacturer. So the promoter needs to keep this sport attractive, and for sure they need to find some new solutions.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And one of the solutions, Seb, that's been suggested, and that perhaps goes along with what you were saying about trying to save money, Seb, was to maybe relook at the 2022 regulations. We know we're going to keep this global rally engine. Cars are still going to be quite expensive to develop and to run. And there's a suggestion that maybe we should be looking at an R5 or an R5 Plus formula. Seb, do you think that is a workable answer to the need to save money and to make the sport more attractive?
You know that I haven't been looking so much into 2020 rules, because in 22 I don't expect to be there at all. But definitely making the car cheaper will be one of the step. Then you can also look into the format of the rally, maybe trying to make it a little bit more compact. I'm pretty sure we've been talking about this idea for a while, and trying to have 2 intense days of competition maybe will be enough, and try to reduce the amount of time that the team have to go out. But yeah, regarding the cars, for me, it's still important to that the car looks spectacular. That will be the best. I think if you ask every driver, they will always ask to have performance cars. But the truth is, at the end of the day, as long as we have enough competitors and comparable material, there is always going to have a competition and to be an interesting fight to follow. So. Of course, at the moment, I think we enjoy to drive fantastic cars and incredibly fast and very spectacular. But maybe at some point we will come to a situation where maybe performance have to drop a little bit, and if it's for saving the sport.
Yeah, now what you said there is really interesting for me, Seb, and I'm going to bat this one over to you, Ott, to answer. Seb said there, it's really important that we have looks and that the cars look great. But he said we enjoy driving fast cars. But for you as a world rally champion, what is the most important thing, Ott? Is it to drive a really fast car, or to have really good competition to prove your skills against? Which one would be the choice that you would go for? Fast car or more drivers, more competition?
More competition with fast cars sounds good.
Yeah, that gets a big thumbs up.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, it's kind of the time that I'm pretty sure if you do well, you can still keep the fast cars. They can be maybe a bit more difficult to drive. I don't know, maybe a bit so and so here and there, that it doesn't need to be all active and things like this, a bit more simple. But I don't really think that it's too difficult to keep the speed. Okay, it needs to be safe. It just needs to be simple. But even if sometimes I guess the cars are more complicated to drive, they can still be very spectacular. And as Seb mentioned, it's not only the car and the regulation and the cost of the running the car. It's also many other things. It's running the teams to the races. It's the way how the race has been built up. You know, it can be a lot more efficient, and all these things. I believe that these days the people are so kind of comfy that they want something that happens now. It happens for a short time, and then after things start to go too long, you know, it starts to be boring. So I guess, yeah, the format of the rallying has been like this for a quite long time. So there are many other areas where it could be a bit more efficient.
Yeah, wow. I mean, you know, it does sound as if we're going to get changes next year, the following year, and they could be quite dramatic changes. But Esapekka, what would you feel about running World Championship events in R5 Plus cars over 2 days, say, with perhaps 15 or 20 drivers in the same top-level car, perhaps, if we were very lucky? Do you think that would be something that you would enjoy doing, or would you rather see the cars staying as they are, the format staying as it is?
For sure, it would be more interesting for us as the drivers, and also for the spectators and for the fans. If there would be 20 drivers, then it would be like a proper series. As now we are a little bit lacking the number of drivers. I'm like Ott said, I'm sure we can still keep the speed and probably keep the safety as well, even if we make the cars more simple. So yeah, we just need to find a good compromise, but for sure it would be really good for the sport if we could have, like, I don't know, a minimum 15 drivers. Then there would be, you know, place for every talented driver, or not every, but anyway. That would be a good idea, I think so.
So are we kind of in agreement, gentlemen, that things need to be looked at perhaps again? Do we think that the decisions that have been made for 2022, which, let's face it, were made before the implications of this crisis were known, are we in agreement that maybe the regulations need to be looked at again, Seb?
Definitely, because this crisis is harder than any crisis that happened in the last, I don't know how many years. So for sure, a lot of parameters are changing right now. So it will be clever to retalk about it and to rethink when we know a bit more about the consequences from this crisis. So yeah, I think it will be wise to do that.
Okay, let's move on a little bit now. Apologies, guys, but a lot of these questions, as you will understand, are related to the crisis that we're going through just now. You know, there are a lot of rally fans out there that are concerned about the sport, that are concerned about you guys and about when they're going to get out to see you next time. So a lot of these questions are along those lines, but we do move on to different subjects as we go through our little debate. But the last question, Lars, actually, it's again from Lars Johansson. He sent 3 questions, 3 really good questions. And his last question was, can we finish the season now? And should we consider cancelling 2020? And if we do continue the season, how many more rounds do we need to validate a World Rally Championship? So there's a couple of things there. Should we finish the season now and cancel 2020? If we do continue, how many more rounds do we need, in your opinion, to actually call this a legitimate World Rally Championship? Ott, you're the reigning world champion. What do you think about that?
I believe there are many aspects that but generally should be considered. Obviously, if it's safe to go, then of course we need to go. I mean, the most suffering areas are all the travel agents, all the traveling, all the local things. So, you know, it's not only the sport, but it's also business for many other people. It's work, and it's basically everyday bread. So if things are getting back to kind of normal, it's safe for everyone, then I don't really see any reason why we should not go back to competition.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Esapekka, in terms of how many more rounds, have you had a thought about that at all? What makes a World Rally Championship for you? Is it, obviously we've got 3 rounds, is it 6 rounds, 7 rounds, 8 rounds? What would your view on that be?
Well, in WRC2 it was 7 rounds, so maybe we should call that as a championship then. But I've not really thought about this too much, so but definitely I think this year will be, for sure, this year will be remembered as a really special one, and whoever wins the title, if there will be, first of all, if there will be the title, I hope people don't remember it that, it was just a short championship and this guy doesn't deserve it. I'm sure whoever wins the title will still deserve it.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Seb, you are the man that is at this moment leading the championship. We're keeping our fingers crossed that we do get a number of more rounds in before the end of the year. But if we did say that's it, that's the end of the season, would you look upon yourself as the 2020 World Rally Champion?
No, definitely not. With 3 rounds for sure, it's a bit too little. But I think the most important is definitely look how the situation is evolving, and I believe that if some sport already working on a concept, we're gonna have to have a concept to restart, and I'm sure that at the moment promoters and FIA are already trying to work on that. I've heard that it's not that simple. Definitely on an international event to organize at the moment are very complicated, but I still hope definitely inside myself that we're gonna have the chance to carry on and to make it look as a season. It won't be a normal season, and we shouldn't expect to make a 10 plus rally in a calendar, but we have the chance that we've done 3 already. That's we can consider ourselves lucky in that perspective, because none of the other championship have done that. So we have already 3 races, and if we have the chance to do a couple of more, you were talking about, I don't know, 7, 8. So to make 7 or 8 rally to make a championship, it's still better than nothing. And I think I've said recently as well, if you look the 90s, there was a couple of seasons where the championship was anyway only made out of 8 rallies. So I think you can still call it a championship, and therefore I will agree with Epi. Then if it happens, you will not have to talk about it was a shortened season and this guy don't deserve it. It will be the same for everyone, and of course we would love to do a full championship, but if it's not happening, we will have to be happy with as much as we can do.
Now, this question comes through on Facebook, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name because it's not written in English. I think it's from Russia, might be from Greece. I'm really sorry, but I can read the question. It says, boys, what is your opinion about the new suspension and the 5-speed gearbox on these new cars? Will the changes have a big effect on driving styles and perhaps make the cars a little less spectacular, or might they make the cars more spectacular? Let's start with you, EP, because you've driven a few cars in your time, World Rally cars. What's your opinion on 5-speed gearboxes, the new suspension? What do we think about these new cars? Will it require a different style?
Yes, definitely. Well, about the gearbox, it doesn't really matter for me. Is it 5 or 6 speed? But the bigger change for sure is the suspension, as probably it's not gonna be that strong as it is on the current cars. And definitely you need to take care more about the car and think about on which sections you can push and which sections you need to really back off slightly, and some rough places for sure. It will be more demanding for the car, and what I have the experience from the R5, which is definitely weaker than the WRC. if we go that direction, then yeah, I lost a couple of times the wheel already on the R5. So and now I've got used to go flat out everywhere. So then I need to start to remind myself, 4 years back and try to be smart.
This is a really interesting point. And Seb, I'm going to put this to you. I have heard it argued that rallying has lost a little bit of what really EP's talking about there, the need to use your head, to be a bit more selective about where you push. That rallying was never about flat out speed on every kilometre of every stage, but maybe that's what it has become at the top level. And maybe these new regulations will introduce or reintroduce another skill, and that skill of actually having to think where it's safe to attack, where you have to preserve the car. Would you agree with that?
Well, anyway, every time you change material and you change cars, you have to adapt somehow to something new. And I think, EP mentioned about how strong are the WRC cars in sometimes, which is completely correct. Still, there was an adaptation maybe on the last time when we changed now in 2017 as the car got kind of much faster due to power and due to downforce. So you had a bit of adaptation to do, but probably to go kind of step back this time in terms of speed or let's say strength of the car will be more challenging to adapt for our drivers, and it will maybe give an opportunity to the young drivers to make a step forward quicker, but at the end of the day, most important is we already said before. As long as you have a lot of competitors and similar material, that makes interesting championship. And regarding numbers of gear, for example, well, I'm not sure that going from 6 to 5 reduce any cost, but if it's existing already with 5, that might be the reason. Some manufacturer already start with 4 in the past, and Marcus have said once 3 is enough. So. Well, 5 might be okay.
Yeah, but Esapekka said the same thing. Where was it? Sardinia, when you won that stage in Sardinia, Esapekka, with 5 gears, I think. Was it second or third gear wasn't working?
Second. Yeah, I lost it.
Yeah, and then you said at the end of the stop line, I think you said, tell Tommy that 5 gears is enough. Which I thought was very, very entertaining. Very entertaining. All right, what about yourself? You will be around for sure when the new generation, whatever that might be, but let's say the regulations stay as we have seen published. When they come out, you'll be around. Are you anticipating perhaps needing to change your driving style to suit these new cars?
Really don't have any idea really how these cars are going to drive or what we need to really do to drive these cars. So, we can all guess at the moment, but it's really hard to say anything.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. Now, moving on, Will Oliver asks through Facebook, and it kind of leads on from that question, the last one, talking about new cars and new designs. Will asks, if there was any car you could drive, any car at all from rallying history, Seb, what would it be? Which car, if you could only ever drive one rally car again in your life, which one would it be?
That's always this impossible question. It's like when we have to choose what is the best rally of the championship. And honestly, it's so hard to answer that. So for me, actually, of course, we always tempted to answer Group B. And I read recently on WRC.com something where they say the Ogier dream about trying the Audi Group B. And yeah, of course, I would love to try that car, but not only. And I think the dream for me will be to have the chance to taste a little bit every generation, to try to feel the evolution through the years. And that will be a very cool experience.
Esapekka, if you could only ever drive one rally car again in your life, and it could be any rally car from history, which one would it be?
For some reason, I'm really excited about the Group B. Not because of the safety, for sure. They were not safe at all. But to try, for example, this Audi or Peugeot, it doesn't really matter. Just Group B and some machine from there.
Have you never driven one yet?
No, never.
Wow. Okay, well, there we go. I'm sure someone can make that happen. All right, what about yourself? One rally car that you could drive again, which one?
I would probably go back to beginning of 2000s when we had these all active cars, kind of most expensive ones with unlimited sources and unlimited materials and things like this. So yeah, something from that time.
We have another question that's come in through Facebook, and it comes from Pedro Dumont, and I quite like this question. It says to all of you, and we'll ask this one to you, Esapekka. So it says, guys, if you ever robbed a bank, in which WRC car would you drive away with the money? What would your getaway car be if you robbed a bank, EP?
First of all, if you go to rob the bank, then probably you want money. So then I would pick Toyota because probably it's the most expensive one. And then you could try to sell it or whatever and get more money. So yeah, maybe because of that. Yeah.
But I guess you need to think a little bit cleverly here, because the Toyota, you're not exactly going to drive away quietly in that, are you? You know, it's going to be obvious. It looks just sensational. It sounds sensational. But, you know, no one's going to catch you, I guess.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter actually which car it is. For sure, the police will not catch us, you know.
They would never catch you. What would your getaway car of choice be, Ott?
I guess there is really no good choice, as yes, you can, let's say, just pull away, but after some kilometers, you normally will run out of fuel, so you will not get too far.
Very good. Which WRC car would you choose as your getaway car?
Well, I think, yeah, no WRC car fitting this purpose. So, well, I don't know. Probably I won't rob a bank. That's the better idea.
Yeah, it's probably the best idea. One last question to all three of you, a very quick one. The best road car that you have ever driven. Now, I know that you all like to be loyal to your brands, but the best road car that you've ever driven. Ott, what's the best road car, your favorite road car?
It's a tricky one. No, I can really say that I have not met my favorite road car yet.
Wow, there you go. That's interesting. That's a challenge then for manufacturers. EP, what about you? Favorite road car that you've ever driven?
Because you cannot answer anything else than Ford. So, yeah. But to be honest, together with my sister and brother, we bought a Ford Escort from 73 to my dad last year. And that's pretty nice to drive, especially on summer day, you know, when the sun is shining. That was cool.
And on a finished gravel road, I would think it's really quite nice to drive.
You never drive that car on gravel, for sure. It's only on tarmac and only on sunshine.
Very good. Seb, you've driven a few cars in your time. We've seen you in a variety of different cars. What's your favorite one?
Yeah, I think I'm let's say not long enough with my Japanese friend that they won't blame me if I say some stuff from the past. So, well, I think when I was at the Volkswagen, I had some lucky time to try a lot of nice cars from the group, and one of the crazy one that I tried was a Bugatti Veyron, and the acceleration from those cars is really something from another planet. So that was something, a unique experience, and I will mention that one.
Yeah, I remember having a chat with Sheikh Khalid once, and it was in the middle of a blizzard in Karlstad, and we were in the back of a Skoda, and he was talking about his Bugatti, and he said, "You know what it's like, Colin?" He said, "When you're sitting in it, it's like sitting in a Rolls Royce." I'm thinking, I've never sat in a Rolls Royce. He said, "But when you touch the accelerator, it's like being in a World Rally car." I mean, what a combination that is.
Yeah, no, it's just unbelievable. It's just like burning tires on a straight line. It's really crazy.
Yeah, there we go. Gents, that's fantastic. Now, a couple of questions then for you individually. I know that you've given us a lot of your time this evening. It's very much appreciated. We'll go through these pretty quickly. Seb, a couple for you specifically. Is it possible now, with this season, Seb, being so different? This comes from Francois Nicolas through Twitter. And Francois says, with it being, a season that nobody anticipated, are you considering changing your mind on retiring at the end of this year? Might we still see you in 2021?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that recently already. Of course, this long plan that I had in mind is getting a little bit. I mean, I never expected to have such a year to finish my career. So for sure, let's see what's happening this year. But if the season is going to be cut in half or whatsoever, for sure I might consider to do one more, and all this time that I have at home now, maybe I can kind of put it back on doing a little bit more for next year. But at the moment there is nothing. I mean, I just announced that personally, but really honestly I haven't discussed that with the team. It's just my personal feeling at the moment, so there is no real plan. But for sure, if this season is cut at half, I might reconsider that, yes.
Yeah, well, we'd love to see you next year. Now, the other question, this one comes in from Bryn Lord. And Bryn says that when you do retire, whether it's next year or the following year, what is your garage going to look like? Now, we've seen the likes of Kankkunen and Jari Matti and Peter Solberg. They've got garages that are full of previous rally cars that they've driven. What will Sébastien Ogier's garage look like? What's in there, Seb?
Yeah, there will be a couple of cars. In terms of rally cars, I don't have it physically yet, but I managed to find back my first ever rally car, or the one I won the first Peugeot Cup in France, and this one is being restored at the moment, so I will have it. I have one of the Polo, the one from 2013, where I won Rally de France and where I became world champion for the first time. I also own one of my Fiesta, still used per AP maybe, so AP take a good care of it. I still need it at some point in my garage.
Maybe
But,
I
you
used
know,
it in Mexico.
Yeah. One is one I'm gonna keep for sure. Is when I became champion the first time in 2013, I bought myself a Ferrari, and that was a 458 special. And this one I will always keep, because that's the remember of this present I made to myself when I reached my dream, becoming world champion.
All right, a couple of questions for you. This is a really interesting one, and it came in from Richie Roberts. It came in on a direct mail, and he said, at the start of your career, we know that there were lots of highs, but there were also lots of lows. How close were you to completely leaving the sport in 2012, Ott, after the problems you had that year?
I would say I was never going to leave the sport completely, as if I was not going to be a driver, I would have been still involved in some other way. I was still very interested in the sport. But as a driver, I normally retired on that year, yes. I really didn't plan to continue.
Wow. This question's come in from Facebook, and it comes from... I don't know who it comes from. Captain Lobo, whoever Captain Lobo is. It's a very strange question. He says, what is a weird food combination that you enjoy? Do you have anything a little weird? And maybe it's the sort of thing that only you would enjoy. Is there anything in your diet that's a bit odd, Ott?
First, I don't think I have any diet. And secondly, I think, yeah, if it's normal for me, I'm not sure if it's strange for anyone else. So normally what I eat, I feel it's normal for me. So
That's good to hear that you haven't got any sort of diet, because I know a lot of drivers have struggled over the years with having to stick to very strict diets. Can you more or less eat what you want to eat?
Maybe I shouldn't, but normally I do, yes.
Good. Well, you look good on it, I'd have to say. Esapekka, for you now, a couple of questions. This one from Will Oliver on Facebook. It's a very simple question. Why did you leave Toyota?
Well, I think I saw a chance to be number one on Citroën in the future, and that's mainly the reason. I didn't see that I could be that in Toyota, to be honest. The teammates were too strong for me. So I saw a chance over there, and that's mainly it.
Yeah, that's a very straightforward answer. Thank you very much, Esapekka. Now, the second of your direct questions, again, comes from Captain Lobo. And he said, what was the latest movie that you sat down and watched and thought to yourself, actually, I want to be like that person in the movie? I know which one mine was, but what was the latest one that you watched and thought, yeah, that's who I want to be?
You know, the latest film, not what I watched, but I'm not watching too many films, to be honest, or movies, but the one where I thought I want to be on that guy is actually Ott Tänak movie. Because I want to win the title, you know. Or at least I want to be leading the championship and this stuff. Even he didn't win the title on that year when it was filmed. But anyway, well, honest answer.
That's a perfect way to end the evening, gentlemen. I have to say it's been an absolute joy seeing three wonderfully happy, smiling faces this evening. Thank you very, very much, gentlemen, for joining us here at DirtFish Debates. It's been too long that we've been away from each other. Fingers crossed, gents. We'll see you back out on the stages very, very soon indeed. Esapekka, thank you. Ott, thank you. Sébastien Ogier, thank you very much indeed.